There are many complaints that Hollywood is unnecessarily remaking and rebooting movies that don't need to be remade nor rebooted. But some movies, I think, do need that treatment, and that is why we're bringing you a list of 10 movies that should be remade, and for that we've brought in a new character. You may recognize him as... or you may not recognize him.
Sorry, I didn't mean to alarm you. Just didn't know you were there.
He's the guy from the League of Steam who shot me at Comic-Con.
Hey, you rolling? Yep. Yep. Right. Go. We call Wonder Woman.
You're an asshole. There are movies that are being that have been remade, including Robocop, which you have feelings about, I have feelings about. There's a lot of emotions here. Maybe it should not have been remade in such a way. But let's kick off our little list of movies that should be remade with reasons why. I think The Last Airbender should be remade. There's a big fan base for The Last Airbender, the cartoon series on Nickelodeon. And M. Night Shyamalan was apparently a fanboy of the series, which doesn't explain why he decided to mispronounce the main character's name so badly, even though it said in every episode of the series, it's Aang, not Ung, you jackass. And there's some problems, like, we know the Four Kingdoms were based on certain real civilizations. Inuits, China, Japan, monks, I think from Nepal. And they kind of, he decided to make the Fire Nation Indian people, but also kind of Greco-Roman. It was kind of weird, and everybody else was white. I mean, I'm not saying that's necessarily what made it bad, but it was a weird choice.
So you're saying it just strayed too far from the source material?
It did.
And my argument for this, and I have sort of a counter argument, I don't think there should be a remake. I don't think there should have been this movie, because I think not every...
But it's such a rich...
Yes, I agree. It's a very rich story and world, and I think it works best as an animated show, a cartoon. That, like, the example that I always bring up is that I love the Sandman graphic novels. Mm-hmm. I think they're fantastic.
That would be impossible.
I don't want them to ever be anything other than graphic novels. Not a movie, not a TV show, not an HBO miniseries. I think they only work as those graphic novels.
I think this could work as a movie if they did it properly, and if they didn't... I feel like the only character that was okay was Princess Yue, but everybody else was horribly miscast, and they got Zuko's character wrong. I do think you could make a good movie out of this if, you know, obviously you're going to have to distill some things or make it maybe like the first bit and not the whole thing. And it was too much, and I did not appreciate the choices that M. Night Shyamalan made, and I don't think most people did.
I mean, if you just want that story done well, just watch the series again. You just want it to be live, people? Is that what we want?
Well, I want to see the
we want it spectacle.
I think that's an interesting case of everybody. I think everybody acknowledges that that movie was a failure, but it's one of those things where, like, how long do you have to wait? Like, if a movie was a failure, like, what's the grace period before you are allowed to remake it?
I'm not saying do it now. I'm just saying do it right.
I think we should remake a movie called Time After Time, which is the story of H.G. Wells traveling through time to stop Jack the Ripper, who stole his time machine.
Wow.
Yes.
I've never even heard of that movie, but I think it's a pretty good concept.
Yeah,
which is maybe why it should be remade.
Malcolm McDowell as H.G. Wells.
Uh-huh.
First of all, it's a good movie, and not a lot of people have seen it, which I think qualifies it as, you know, a story that should be told to a newer generation. And you could stick really close to the plot and go exactly with that, or you could expand upon it. I thought, when I saw the movie, I thought it would be Jack the Ripper steals a time machine and then, like, is like a much larger serial killer than we anticipated because he shows up, like, in different places throughout the time. That's not where the movie went, but I thought that would have been a cool idea, which means that it's, like, open to new interpretations and new ideas and newer CGI technology and whatnot.
And that makes it a good candidate, I think.
I thought so.
Yeah.
I think one of the interesting things about that movie, though, that to me makes it hold up really well, is that in the pursuit of Jack the Ripper, they go to what then was present day, which was the late 70s. And to me, watching it now, it actually kind of just reads as like a period piece, as if it was just intended that they go to the late 70s. And I don't, like, I'm trying to figure out, like, how would it be improved? Like, if you were to do a remake of it, would they come to 2013? or would he still chase him into the 70s, and then you'd make a modern movie that's a period piece?
I think it would work if they made more stops than just the one. If they went to the 70s and present day and the future and Victorian, everything can be like 5 or 6 stops. And that way there's like, history is full of unsolved murders where there are like no good suspects.
That could be a TV show even.
And that could be a thing. Like they're all Jack the Ripper. And we couldn't figure it out because he came in a time machine, killed somebody, and then hopped away with H.G. Wells in Hot Pursuit. I thought that would be an interesting idea.
Okay, so my next one, sort of on a similar note, is Soylent Green.
But how? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
What?
Go ahead.
Okay, Soylent Green, another awesome movie from the 70s with Charlton Heston. Charlton Heston did some movies, big sci-fi movies with big twist endings, huh?
He was the big overactor that could drive that point home.
But
it was Earth all along, goddamn you
damn dirty apes!
He was needed for that kind of gravitas of the 70s.
Absolutely. But I think, Soylent Green sort of, it goes into the future with a very dystopian society, and I think it also deals with like relevant social issues today in terms of, distribution of wealth and stuff like that, chemical processing and all that sort of stuff. There's a really awesome scene where there's a protest or like a riot going on of people who are trying to get their rations, and they bring in these big machines that are like bulldozers that scoop people up, and it's like a garbage truck. So it scoops all the protesters up, and then it like dumps them in the back of the truck. And it's truly horrifying, but kind of fascinating. But again, it's very dated by just the time that it was made in, and I think it would be a great remake.
One question I have about this, though, is we all know the twist ending to Soylent Green. Everyone knows it. How do we mitigate that in a remake? Is there a new twist ending? Is it the same one?
That's a good question, and I think that actually speaks to like the issue with Tim Burton's remake of Planet of the Apes.
I actually didn't see that one.
Well, they changed the twist ending in the end.
Oh.
They didn't change it by much.
Yeah.
But they did make it something different, which I didn't like the ending, but I appreciated that they still were trying to surprise us.
So they were on Antarctica the whole time. No, what was it?
He manages to get back to what he believes is his own time.
Oh.
But then the Lincoln Memorial is of an ape.
Yeah.
And then he gets arrested by a
So
whole
it's
bunch
a
of
little
guerrilla
bit
cops.
Darkest timeline.
So yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Okay.
So yeah, but you're totally right. Soylent Green would need to come up with something to make it a little bit different for the twist ending.
Yeah.
Soylent Green is hipsters!
I'm not eating that. All right.
Gamey.
Oh.
It's that gluten-free diet. All right, I'll do one. Okay, so I think this was a television show that I think doesn't need to be a television show. It could be a movie. It was Space 1999, which already dates itself right there because their futuristic society was 1999.
Did they party like it was 1999?
They don't. It's bad times. They are a colony on the moon, Moonbase Alpha, and wherever they're disposing of their nuclear waste explodes, detaching the moon from Earth's orbit. So now they're like a free-floating...
Wait, how would... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
They're like a free-floating moon going through space, encountering other, planets and civilizations, and it's essentially the Enterprise or Voyager, whatever that like lost, trapped in space that you want to do is. But they're on the moon, and it's like a whole civilization.
The planet is their ship?
The planet is the ship. The spaceship.
And when was this show made?
The 70s, I think. I didn't write it down.
Gotcha.
I'll put an annotation.
It's interesting. You would think that they would project a little bit further into the future.
That was a big mistake that a lot of them made. They only went to like the future, 1982. It's like,
that's why 2015 is about to roll around and everybody's like, where's my hoverboard?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You gotta go a little further out for it to be plausible.
I don't even have self-tying shoes. That's how pathetic we are.
Oh, that reminds me. Don't remake Back to the Future.
No.
Okay, back to the list.
Logans Run.
Oh.
Awesome sci-fi movie from the 70s, but really badly in need of a remake. And this is something that they've been trying to develop a remake for forever. Originally, probably about a decade ago, they had Bryan Singer lined up to direct it, and then that fell through. And then you were telling me actually just recently that Ken Levine, creator of BioShock, is slated to write a Logans Run remake.
Last I checked 3 months ago, he was. I hope that's still the case.
They still haven't found a director for it. They had Ryan Gosling lined up to,
and the director
to be in it, and then he dropped out.
The director of Drive wanted to do it with Ryan Gosling, but
Okay,
then they
and
made
then
a
they
different
both
movie
dropped
instead.
out. Okay, gotcha. But it's one of those things that, like I was saying before, it's like it's a sound concept. I really like the idea of a utopian society where everybody lives until they're 30, and then there's a ritual and they all die. But I think that is something that actually...
That story's been told in different ways, like that movie with Justin Timberlake.
Yeah.
But it's not as, I don't think it's as rich of a universe as Logan's Run.
Yeah, I think the thing about Logan's Run is that it's like a completely different society altogether. And I think that is something that could actually be really relevant today with the whole like YOLO thing, you know, right? You know, you put a science fiction spin on that.
You said YOLO in my show.
I did. But that movie also it needs to be remade because it has the worst robot that's ever been on film.
It's a terrible robot.
Fish and plankton and sea greens and protein from the sea.
It's like he's like a silver refrigerator with dryer hose arms, and all he talks about is plankton. It's bizarre.
When I looked at a list of like movies that came out around the same time as Logan's Run, just to see if that was kind of the thing going on. There's way better robots that were made earlier than that movie.
Oh, absolutely.
It's embarrassing. The problem is whenever you try to envision a futuristic society, you get sort of trapped in your culture's trends. Like, yes, it's
Everybody
the future.
has 70s hair
Oh
in that
my
movie.
God, the hair. I can't even concentrate on the plot of that movie because of that haircut that's everywhere in that movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's just these little superficial things. Remake the movie, keep it exactly the same, but don't make it look like it happened in the 70s.
Don't be trendy.
And you're fine. That's the perfect candidate for a reboot.
Yeah.
I think that's a great candidate, probably the best one so far.
Congratulations.
You
Thank you very
won!
much. Thank you.